This is graphs. 2 ways to look at a graph. You're going to need, when you get to the graph session, make sure you get some graph paper. You're going to need it. It'll help to do this graph part correctly. If you're given the equation you can identify your slope is 3, and we write it as a fraction, 3/1, and your starting point, B, is 2, and you write it as a 0.02. So this is our y-intercept. Here's our y-axis. This is the x-axis. But this is our y-axis, and that's where we're going to use 0, 2. 0, so we don't move this way or that way, and we go up to 2. And this is our y-intercept. Well, that's where it crosses the y-axis, right? Then we use our slope to find the next point. We're going to go over. This is the change in x, and this is the change in y. So the change in x is 1. The change in y is 3. 1, 2, 3. And we find our next point. We can continue to do that. The change in x is 1, so we go from this x to this one. And then we go from this y up 3 to this y here. And you can look at it here. There's 3 spaces here. And you can see we're going from this one to this one here. And we can go backwards. If we go back 1, and then we got to go the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3. And if you see, if you did this part correctly, it should line up. And technically, if you're going to do this and you're only trying to graph, you only need 2 points. You would just need these 2, and then you could draw your line, because the rest of them will line up. Oops, I did not do a very good line there. Let's try it again. See how they didn't line up? There we go. That's better. And look, you can see 1, 2, 3, and over 1. That would be your next one right there. Okay. But what if you were given a graph already? So let's say you're given this graph here. So here's your coordinate plane. Let's say you were given this graph. So let's say this is your graph here. We're going to ignore that part because that's part of the other problem. If you're given this graph here and you want to write the equation, well, this is my y-axis. So where it crosses the line is right there. So that's at 1, 2, 3. So b equals 3. And my slope, and you have one point here. I'm going to find another one. You know, I'm just going to use some points down here so it's easier to see. This one and this one. It needs to be points that cross where you see these blue lines meeting. It's got to be like that. So on the blue line, so your graph has to have that. All right. And then this goes over 1. So it goes from here to here, and then it goes down 2. You can see 2 spaces. Oh, let me put them here. 2 and then 1. And it's down, so it's got to be negative. So my slope, that's the change in the y, the change in the x. The change in the y is negative 2. Change in the x is 1. So my slope, negative 2 divided by 1 is just negative 2. So now I can write my equation. So this part of the equation stays the same, and then I just replace the m with negative 2, and the b with 3. If it were down here, it would be minus. Like if it crossed here, that would be minus 4. But it's up here, so it's plus 3.